With Miller Mott College's online programs, you can choose when you study. Our online programs give you the flexibility to make education work with your schedule. Earn your degree without derailing your life. Visit us online at miller-mott.edu. That's miller-mott.edu.
Welcome to Bite Size Bios. This is meant to be a mini-sode that will accompany HDTH. Every week, I will pick a person from history and dive into their lives. All right, welcome back to another episode of Bite Size Bios. This week we are looking at Chuck Norris. We're going to find out all about Chuck Norris. I'm not going to tell you how or why he became a meme, but I'm going to tell you everything else about his life. I figure that's probably, you can find that on the internet pretty easy. But so yeah, we're going to talk about Chuck Norris this week. The last week's episode of HDTH was about signatures, the old John Hancock. I don't really have too much to bring back from that episode. I did enjoy it. I think it's one of the better episodes that have been done on HDTH in the last 49 episodes. We're coming up on number 50 next week. But yeah, the signatures were cool. It was really cool to see. I had never looked at Obama's signature like that. I really hadn't. I've read all his books and I've probably seen it before. But like I read you in the article that I read, I don't think I mentioned. They said it looks as if that he was trying to kind of, with his signature, kind of embody the older characteristics of signatures, like what I was talking about with like the whole like almost like a drawing in the middle and then your words on the outside, like your name, your first name and your surname on either side of a drawing. It has to do with the way that he puts the B inside the O for Obama. Like I don't know. It's just it's interesting once you start to delve into that stuff. You realize that whether it be consciously or subconsciously, there's so many different parts of society that just, I don't know, if you haven't thought about it, other people have. You think just because maybe you haven't, that I don't know that they haven't either. But yeah, so that's it's a good episode. HDTH episode 49. Go check it out. Definitely go see the post on the Twitter page as well as hdthappen.com. We got it all happening over there. What else do I have to say before we get out of here? Or not get out of here. Before we start the episode, we're not going anywhere. We got to learn about Chuck Norris, Walker, Texas Ranger. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So without further ado, here is this week's BSB mini episode, Bite Size Bios. So Chuck Norris, old Chuck. He was actually born Carlos Ray Norris on March the 10th, 1940 in Ryan, Oklahoma. His parents were named Wilma and Ray. Good names. His father was a World War II vet who also worked as a mechanic as well as driving buses and trucks. Ray Norris, his father, was said to go on months-long drinking binges. I mean, months is what they said specifically. The whole idea of a drinking binge is someone who enjoys a drink, probably, more than the average. I still don't understand. I don't know. Is it an old school thing where you would just go off and just be gone? Like, I don't know, but so he would do that a lot, and that was said to be one of the things that made Chuck Norris more of an introverted child. How that works, whatever psychology goes on there. Norris is of Irish and Cherokee descent, which sounds just so very Chuck Norris. His mother was Irish and his father was Cherokee, so we got an Irish Native American. If I were to picture that, I would be looking right at Chuck Norris's face. And he was taunted by the kids growing up about being a half-breed.
I went to a school in Arizona that was mostly Indians from the reservation. And there's this one Indian kid who just didn't like me, and every day he'd chase me home from school. And I'd have to run by this gas station. This mechanic would watch me being chased by this Indian kid every day. And finally, he just couldn't handle it anymore, and he stopped, made me face this way. And I told him, I said, I told him I'm scared, and he says, well, and what he said to me, which is still true, which I remember, is that he says, that running from your fear is more painful than facing it. That's something I've always remembered.
And he talks about this in actually multiple interviews. He had two brothers. One was named Wieland and one was named Aaron. His brother Aaron is a stunt actor in Hollywood. His most recent credit was actually in Ant-Man in 2015. So he was, rather recently. They're getting older though, so I think that maybe he's not doing too much these days. The other brother, Whelan, was actually killed in action in Vietnam. Aaron was there as well in Vietnam, but he was able to come home. So he had two brothers, one of which died in Vietnam, and the other is a stunt actor in Hollywood. His parents divorced at the age of 16, and he would end up living with his mother in Torrance, California. Upon graduating high school, he joined the Air Force at the age of 18 and was stationed in Korea. And this is where he started really learning and falling in love with martial arts. He started training in Tang Soo Do. And after his time in the military, he came back to the States and opened a martial arts studio. And this is interesting about, his real true love for martial arts. I didn't know this. I mentioned this to someone actually earlier today, and they just were like, "Oh yeah, I know. I totally knew that." And I was just like, "Okay, I didn't know." But what I'm about to tell you, he also he created two different types of martial arts. That just seems wild to me. Like I knew the dude studied it, you know what I mean? But like he created. I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know people were still creating martial arts. I really didn't. I thought it was like some stuff that was just made, and now you learn it. I don't know, But so that was wild. So one of them is the American version of Tang Soo Do, and then there's another one called Chuck Do, but it's now just called the Chuck Norris system, and that's the wildest one to me. Like he really created a Chuck Norris like martial arts. That's pretty wild. And so he did the American Tang Soo Do in around 1966. It's still being studied in practice now. The Chuck Norris system it's how do I put this? The majority of the system's forms are adapted from the Korean Tang Soo Do and Taekwondo, as well as Shitu Ryu and Shotokan karate, as well as Goju Ryu karate, judo, whole bunch of different other stuff. And there's actually some principles to the Chuck Norris system. There's 10 total. I don't think I'll read them all, but there's just kind of like rules to live by that I think are worth saying since we're talking about the good old Chuck Norris. And so the first one is I will develop myself to the maximum of my potential in all ways. That's pretty good. We'll jump down and see a little bit. The fourth one is I will look good, or no, that's it. That's not it, but that's definitely in my principles. I will look for the good in all people and make them feel worthwhile, which is much better than what I just said before that. It's pretty cool. Jumping down a little further, we'll jump to number 9. Is I will always remain loyal to my God, my country, family, and friends. And that's pretty much it. You don't need to know. You can definitely find them; they're out there. But I just thought he took the time to make 10. I'll at least read a couple. So he's done all this martial arts. He also he attains a number of black belts. They include a 10th degree black belt in Chun Kuk Do, 9th degree black belt in Tang Soo Do, 8th degree black belt in Taekwondo. This guy, if you got a do, he's got a black belt in it basically. So he takes this. All this information that he has for martial arts, and he brings it to the world of Hollywood, right? And so his Bruce Lee was the one who gave him his big break, if you will. He was actually in a movie with him. What is it called? I think the Way of the Dragon. His actual first film debut, the first time we saw his face on camera, was in a small role called in a movie called The Wrecking Crew, which actually came out in 1968. But so he acts in a lot of movies, becomes a pretty big movie star, does a lot of movies in the 70s, things like he was in the movie called Yellow-Faced Tiger, is also in a movie called Breaker Breaker. In the 80s, he does the Delta Force, I believe Delta Force 2, and we also see him in a little movie called Lone Wolf McQuade. And that movie is important because it is the inspiration behind the show Walker, Texas Ranger, which I really think is, for as far as people my age and a little bit older and everybody younger, I think is the only way we really know him. People older than us know of all the movies he did. He had like 20, 30 years of like movie star, like living level status. But by the time we came around, it was Walker, Texas Ranger. So the movie Lone Wolf McQuade is like the exact kind of storyline of Walker, Texas Ranger. He plays a Texas Ranger and solving, I can't even tell you, but that is what becomes that show. And an interesting part about that is that he actually sang the theme song as well. This guy he's in all parts. And there's actually a 6-episode spinoff to Walker, Texas Ranger. So that's your little tidbit for the day. We don't have much more before we get out of here. I want to tell you about his family, and then we will go ahead and wrap it up. So he married his high school sweetheart, Diane K. Holacek, right? Maybe in 1940. Well, she was born in 1941. They married in 1958 when he was 18 and she was 17. They had their first child, Mike, in 62. He actually had an illegitimate child in 63. But you know, what are you gonna do? And then later he had a son, Eric, in 64, who would actually go on to become a NASCAR driver, which is like, if you were going to think what Walker, Texas Rangers freaking kid would be like, he'd be a NASCAR driver. He'd definitely be a NASCAR driver. So after 30 years of marriage, old Norris and Holacek, they divorced in 89. Let's see, in 98, he married a woman named Gina. Always good to marry, you know, Gina's a good name. Gina O'Kelly, who was 23 years younger than him. Let's see. She had some twins with him. And that's pretty much it. Just a quick little bite-sized bio on your man, Chuck Norris, Walker, Texas Ranger. All right, that's it for another episode of Bite-Sized Bios, BSB. We'll be coming back with another episode of HDTH, How Did That Happen, in a couple days on Mondays at 4:30 a.m. And in case you didn't know when this one comes out, it comes out on Thursdays at 4:30 a.m. As always, thanks for pressing play. I appreciate every listen.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details. Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.